for short. For the past 2 episodes, we have explored and solved criminal cases with Detective Athena Knight. But now, we are going to explore the paranormal side of this mystery series with her twin sister, Spencer Knight, who is a medium helping restless spirits that roam around the state of Georgia. Before we begin, I just want to give my listeners a heads up that you do not need to figure out who done it. All of Spencer's episodes will just be stories inspired by true haunted events. Therefore, consider this as a brain break. So, shall we begin? For tonight's episode is called The Stairs to Nowhere.
As a medium, I had encountered countless paranormal occurrences throughout my profession, but this case was one of the most disturbing like no other. The University of Georgia had reached out to me, Spencer Knight, in desperation, seeking answers to the unexplainable events that had plagued the hall for decades. I met Professor Dandridge at the historically significant arch, north side of campus on East Broad Street. I kindly greeted and introduced myself, and she did the same.
Thank you for meeting me here, Spencer. Before we head down to Joseph E. Brown Hall, I must strongly advise that you wear this mask, for you may not be prepared for what to expect.
What should I expect, Professor Dandridge?
The horrid rotting smell that is causing such disturbance.
Yes, I recall the report you submitted about this ordeal. You said the building is locked every end of the year, correct?
Yes, every final exam period to be exact. We close the building because of the unbearable putrid smell. Everyone is prohibited to enter the building until spring semester begins.
Has there been any past or recent building inspections for tracing the smell?
Yes, countless times. They could not find the cause, and it has been frustrating, and that is why I need you to investigate the building, because I believe that the building is haunted.
Besides the horrible smell, have there been any other odd occurrences?
Sometime, the students and I would hear random loud thumping coming from the second floor of the building, but we only have access to the west wing of the second floor. The east wing is sealed off.
Sealed off?
Yes, the east wing of the second floor is sealed off by cement and brick. No one can go up there, not even the police or the firemen, for they refuse to break down that wall. I truly think they are hiding something.
Therefore, you think the smell may be paranormal activity connected to the sealed corridor?
Oh yes, I did some research and I read stories about an accident that happened many years ago that may have taken place at Joseph E. Brown Hall. I can't say they are liable sources because I pulled them from random discussion boards. And like I said, I tried to get information from the police, but they were unable to provide any details of what may have occurred there. That is why I invited you here. I want you to find out what happened.
I can investigate the building and try to reach out to possible spirits that may be there, but I cannot make any promises that the spirits will move on.
I understand, but please try.
After the professor and I made an agreement, she drove us to Joseph E. Brown Hall on South Lumpkin Street. When we arrived, I looked through the passenger side window and see the historic red brick building. It didn't look scary. It looked like any other building on college campus. Professor Dandridge from the driver's seat turned her torso to me and handed me a key.
Here is the key to gain access to the building, but before you open the car door, I strongly suggest wearing a mask, but once you enter the building, it may no longer work, for the smell is awfully strong. I brought an extra one for you.
Thank you for the warning, but I must use all my senses to fully investigate the hall.
I just hope you didn't eat anything before coming here.
After the professor placed the mask on her face, I grabbed the key. As soon as I opened the car door, a horrid rotting smell attacked my nostrils. I quickly covered my nose with my hand as I approached closer to the building. The closer I became, the sicker I began to feel in my stomach, hence I kept going. I have smelled bad things in my past, but that smell was terrible. It literally smelled like rotten flesh. With a determined stride, I used the key to unlock the front door of the building and stepped inside. A pungent odor hit my senses, until it triggered my nausea so bad that I felt dizzy as the saliva built in my mouth. I wasted no time and made a quick sprint to the nearest trash can on my left, purging out my breakfast. After regaining my composure, I explored the hallways and classrooms until I finally came across the staircase leading to a wall. As I climbed up step by step, a deep melancholy engulfed my senses, but I pressed on. As I approached the sealed-off wall, an illusionary poster caught my attention, revealing a long hallway. I moved the poster aside and placed my right hand on the wall, noticing its thickness. I leaned my ear on it and suddenly, a sharp pain seized my neck as if something was tightly constricting it. I swiftly pulled my head away, feeling only bare skin when I touched my neck, which was warm. Resigned to retreat, I headed back downstairs, but felt strange icy chills run up and down my spine. I could see the fog of my breathing and sensed something was watching me. "I can feel your presence here," I said. "If you would like to make your presence known, you are welcome to communicate with me and share your story."
Why should my story matter?
A voice echoed through the building and I turned around and there was a sulking slender brunette man wearing a white button shirt and tie with a copper-colored blazer. He was wearing large square retro glasses. He was standing at the top of the staircase. I slowly approached the spirit. "My name is Spencer, and I am here to help you."
You can see me?
I am a medium. I can see things that most humans cannot see, and I am able to communicate with spirits like you.
That explains the unique aura when you first stepped inside this dormitory.
This building used to be a dormitory.
It was a boys' dormitory. I lived here.
What is your name?
William Greenwood.
What happened here, William? I watched William hesitate as he gazed at me, but I could feel a hint of sorrow as if he yearned to open up to me. But he turned away.
Go away.
William, I assure you that you are safe to tell me anything you wish for me to know. I understand that you may be feeling lost and avoided, but please know that your presence here speaks volumes where I can help. The sounds and ghastly odors that permeate throughout this space indicate that your story is of great significance. Otherwise, why would you be lingering here? I am here to only listen and provide a passage for you. Suddenly he turned around and stepped closer to me. Unsure of what he was about to do.
Do spirits really move on from the pain?
Some spirits are able to transition after they've revealed their truth, but some are unable to do so due to various reasons that are beyond me to comprehend. I watched William quickly turn back around but then stopped. I focused my eyes on him as he turned his body back to me.
As a third-year student here, I pursued literature studies as I had a passion for reading an array of literary works by revered authors and poets such as Charles Dickens, Mark Twain, and my all-time favorite, Edgar Allan Poe. My aspiration was to enter the field of education. Throughout my college years, I put in a lot of effort and hard work into my academics, which paid off when I managed to make the dean's list every single year. However, I never really had the chance to build a social life or make any friends during that time. It often felt like I was invisible, just going through life like a ghost. My roommate was the opposite of me, always out and about, chasing women and having a good time. Our interactions were limited to him asking me to leave the room when he had a woman over. I wasn't too fond of him. Despite all of this, I found companionship in my love for literature and my studies. And then, she came along.
Who was she?
Brenda McIntosh. She was a beautiful, tall, transferred student from another college. She studied literature to become an educator just like me. We met when I found her lost and tried to locate her next class. I didn't help her at first because why would she want me to help her, but unexpectedly, she noticed me and asked for my help. I looked at her schedule and saw that she shared the same class as me, so I suggested that she followed me there. Once we got to class, she sat right next to me. It didn't take long for other men to notice her, and she happened to be one of UGA's beautiful women on campus. Although she was often flirty, she never paid them any attention, and somehow, she was always focused on me. After a week of getting to know each other, she invited me to lunch. She came from a wealthy family with a medical background, and she expressed a desire to become a teacher as well as her passion for the Rolling Stones. As for my background, there wasn't much to say about it other than that I grew up with an abusive, alcoholic father and a mother who eventually left us after years of violence. I never mentioned those awful memories to her since I had no intention of ever seeing my father again.
William paused for a moment as he gripped tightly on the rail of the stairs, and he continued.
Brenda was a poet. She could quote and write many poems, but she lacked the ability to write academic essays. She had no idea how to cite sources or follow MLA requirements, therefore, I insisted on teaching her how to write essays, but she suggested that I write her essays for her.
Did you do it?
Yes. I knew it was wrong, but for the first time, I placed my mind aside and let my heart lead for the first time. I wrote and completed many of her essays even from other classes she took. It tripled my workload, and it kept me busy all hours of the night just to prove to her I was the one. The workload became so heavy that unknowingly, I was neglecting my own schoolwork. I did not miss any deadlines, but the lack of effort in my work was causing my grade to slip.
Did you tell her what was going on or put a stop to writing her essays?
I didn't. I did not want to risk losing her, so I tried to keep up even if it meant spending less time with Brenda, but my grade kept slipping while her grade continued to rise. When the professor decided to assign us a final essay for a chance to boost our grades, I couldn't miss that opportunity for the world because I did not want my 4.0 GPA to fall in. Of course. Brenda asked me to write hers. I wanted to say no, but she invited me to visit her family during the holiday break, so I thought once I completed her essay, she would officially be mine. During that finals week, I made sure her essay would pass with flying colors at the library and was expecting to complete mine when I returned to my dorm.
Suddenly, William paused as I watched him lower his head.
I returned to the dormitory and there was a sock tied to the doorknob, and oddly I heard Brenda's laughter from inside, so I knocked heavily against the door and demanded my roommate to open it, disturbing the peace on the second floor. My roommate opened the door and there was Brenda undressed in his bed. I dropped all my school materials on the floor as I struggled to process what I saw.
I could hear the anger, strain and pain in his voice as he began to sob. That is awful. Did she say anything?
After she got dressed, all she asked was about her essay. She did not say sorry, she did not say anything to assure me that it was all a misunderstanding, but I understood what I saw. And my roommate did not seem to care. After they left the room, I just broke down crying until I realized I had less than 4 hours to write my final essay.
Did you finish your essay?
I finished it, but I struggled through it because I was in so much pain and sick from what I witnessed earlier that night. The next morning, I turned my essay in, but the professor gave me the worst grade I ever had. A D. And I barely passed the class with a C. What did Brenda get? An A. My GPA suffered greatly because I did not pass my other classes.
Did you report to the professor that the essay she turned in was your writing?
No, I did not. I was still a fool. After finals week was over, I followed up with her about meeting her family during the holiday break, but she said no. Not only she said that, she called me stupid and insulted me with words as terrible as my father's. She said she never loved me and was only using me for academic gain. My heart was shattered and to where the pain became unbearable. Therefore, I had to find a way to end the pain.
I approached closer to William as he sobbed painfully, knowing the worst will be revealed. William. What did you do?
I returned to my dormitory and waited for my roommate and neighbors to leave for the holiday break. When everyone left, I tied my bedsheet to the ceiling, stood on the chair with the sheet tied around my neck, and jumped off.
I am so sorry this happened to you, William.
I observed my body hanging there for days that turned into weeks. After holiday break, my roommate did not return, and it was likely that he had left school without notice. As a result, I was left to observe my body's decomposition without any intervention from anyone else. It was surprising to me that no one had noticed my absence or thought to check on me. Eventually, the odor from my decomposing body became unbearable, and a group of firemen was forced to break down my door. To their shock, my body was badly decomposed and unrecognizable. The smell was so overpowering that it made some of the students and staff feel sick. Consequently, everyone on the second floor of the East Wing was evacuated, and the area was sealed off with bricks and cement.
How did it make you feel?
Depressed and embarrassed, but also angry. I realized nobody cared about me, and if they did, they just wanted to take advantage of me like Brenda. I really did love her, and I genuinely cared for her, but I was just a convenience when she needed me to excel in her studies. In death, no. Even in the grave, all is not lost.
All is not lost. What do you mean?
I quoted by the great Edgar Allan Poe. No one may not remember me, but my spirit remains to haunt this hall as a reminder of my demise.
I completely understand why you have chosen to remain here. But what you are doing is not helpful, it is selfish. Like you, these students earned themselves to study here at UGA, including this hall where they should feel comfortable learning, not be reminded of your past. Therefore, we must find a compromise.
What is your suggestion, Spencer? Because if you think I should just cross over, I refuse.
You mentioned that you love literature, so how about the students and staff place books near the sealed wall?
They can do that?
Yes, they can. I can have the students and staff greet you every time they pass this staircase. Suddenly, William's eyes lighted up. The corners of William's mouth began to curl up as his eyes began to gleam.
I would appreciate that very much.
Shortly after William and I made a compromise, the horrid smell went away. I met with Professor Dandridge, who was surprisingly outside the hall waiting for me. After I waved William goodbye, I stepped outside to explain his story to the professor.
Oh my gosh, Spencer. That poor student. I can't imagine how dark his world must have been before he ended his own life. When did this happen?
During the early 1970s, he has haunted this building for decades without anyone hearing his story or even noticing that it was him who passed away. William and I made a compromise to have the students study here without any disturbances as long as he is being greeted when leaving and entering the Joseph E. Brown Hall.
He wants me to greet him every time I come and leave.
No, it can be anyone. He just needs to be acknowledged by anyone who enters and leaves the hall.
Well, that should work. There are many students coming and going every day.
Oh, he loves literature like Edgar Allan Poe. Therefore, I would place any of the author's literacy works placed near the sealed wall.
The ghost reads.
Not exactly, but it would help build a relationship with him.
I must be friends with him too. Like Casper the Friendly Ghost. What's next? Inviting him for lunch sometime? Sorry, but I find it very amusing.
No. These nice gestures can create a trustworthy relationship to where William might cross over someday, but now, just follow my suggestions and this hall will be back to normal eventually. After the professor agreed, we went to a nearby bookstore on campus and bought Edgar Allan Poe's classic, The Telltale Heart. When we returned to Joseph E. Brown Hall, we placed the book near the sealed wall and we both waved goodbye to William.
The end. I hope you enjoyed the story. Also, did you know that the stairs to nowhere really does exist on UGA campus? As a former UGA student, I have seen the mysterious staircase many times. Many times. And still, it gives me chills. For the listeners who are wondering if there is a lingering dead body smell that haunts Joe E. Brown Hall, no. Thankfully, no. Thank God, no. I could not even imagine how that will be. But I will tell you what is true. A student did die there. And there is an article that I found by Charles Gray Kelly titled Joseph E. Brown Hall, a case study of one university legend. And in that article, it tells more dark and disturbing details of what happened. If you ever visit the University of Georgia, you should see the stairs to nowhere in person. Also, I know every year UGA gives a ghost story walking tour every Halloween season where you'll visit the location and know more about it. If you ever pay a visit to Joseph E. Brown Hall, specifically the stairs to nowhere, feel free to tag me or share pictures. My social media is the Knight Twins Mysteries. I'm available on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Well, folks, this concludes this week's episode of the Knight Twins Crimes and Spirits. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, rate, follow, and subscribe, for there'll be many mysteries to come. New episodes are added every Wednesday. So, until then, stay curious.